Hi, welcome back to Fearbuster. I'm Lauren Rosenberg, your host, and today I have a special guest, Anna, who come from San Diego. And Anna, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank
And we're
you.
going to talk about fear of lost. Have you ever been lost anywhere? Have you ever felt lost? Have you ever wondered what I feel like, or what's the fear of lost, and what happened when you have the fear of lost, and also how you can get past that? So Anna, that fear of loss, or when did you realize you had that, or was that remind you of, or fear of
Well,
loss?
first of all, thank you for having me.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
fear is common for a lot of people. In my case, it's kind of an odd thing to be fearful of, but I fear getting lost in a car, like not knowing if my GPS is going to take me where I'm supposed to be, how to use the GPS, the navigator. And what's strange is long ago when I was in my teens, like even when I got my license, I never had a fear of going anywhere. It was so weird. It's like I would go in the car and I remember getting lost in a very, very bad location in Michigan, where I'm from Canada, but I was going with a girlfriend of mine at night in my own car, 16 years old. And we were going to a little bit of a party somewhere. And again, remember when I was 16 long ago, there was no navigators. There
Yeah, I
was
was
no
going to say no
GPS,
navigator, no
no cell
GPS.
phones, no cell phones. If we
Yeah,
got
that's
lost,
true. No phone either. Yeah, you had to
exactly.
find a phone box or something.
Yes, exactly. So I was just thinking to myself, I got lost, and I remember the policeman pulling us over and saying, "Girls, you're in a really bad spot. I really, really think you should get out of this area." And I looked at my girlfriend, and it was dark, and there was all kinds of strange faces pulling up right side by side at a stoplight. And I looked at her and I go, "Goodbye. It was nice meeting you." But that's as far as my fear went. Would I do it again the week after? Yeah, I probably would get in the car and go again. It's weird how long ago that same fear never stopped me from continuing to get in the car and go. I just
To
got out of that
drive.
moment. Yeah, I was scared for the moment, and I still would jump in the car. If someone said come meet me at another location for another party, I'd probably be there. But right now I am living in a really comfortable neighborhood, and if someone said to me, can you meet me downtown San Diego, I would go, oh no, I don't know how to get there. And they're like, well, don't you have a navigator, don't you have a cell phone? I'm like, yeah, but still I don't know if I want to take a chance and go there. And so my husband would have to map it out for me, do color codes, you turn left on this light, and literally make it like so moron proof. And it's like for me to get there, I can't fail, you know. So it's things like
Mm.
that. And I just don't understand how from 16, when I was 16 to now in my 50s, I've developed so much more anxiety and fear. And yet there's less chance of getting lost these days with this technology, having,
Yeah,
GPSs, cell phones,
and
and
you can
I'm
just
more scared now.
give a phone call. You can be you're never really on your own. You can just give a call, and you can, yeah. So
Right.
when did this start? When did you actually?
Well, you know what? When I was about 35 years old, before I had kids over here in San Diego, we moved to San Diego. I remember I was going to a college it was Palmar College, it was called. And I was driving there and I got lost. And I had so much stress. I remember stopping at a strawberry stand, and the lady said, you look like your face is red. Are you okay? You look like you're going to pass out. I said, I'm just driving and driving and I can't seem to get where I want to go. And I don't understand. And I didn't have a cell phone on me either, really. Like, actually, no, I did. I just didn't have the navigator or anything. And I was just and she goes, well, you better eat a strawberry just to keep you together. So she gave me a strawberry because I was really about to pass out. So she wanted some sugar in my body. But I don't understand how that all changed, And I think from that's what scared me. It's like I'm noticing highway after highway with no direction, and just the thought of that. It was
Where do
just
you feel that in your body, or is it just in your mind, or is it just
no, it
in?
was everything. Like I said, I almost passed out. I could feel like I'm hyperventilating. All the physical symptoms came. Then I called my husband. I said, I'm about to pass out. I'm in the car. He goes, well, you shouldn't drive then. I said, yeah, I know, but I got to get home. I don't know where I am. And it just seems so like something that anyone could resolve. And I don't like talking to strangers. So to me, to stop and ask somebody, the only safe place I had was that strawberry stand. So they did calm me down and tell me, okay, where do you live? And I said, La Costa. And so they kind of guided me home. But it's ridiculous. Like that whole thing, if I think about it, how pathetic that was, and people have worse fears and more reason to have other fears than mine,
And
but
talking about strawberries, do you still like them, or you associate them to that day?
Do you know what it took me? I think I had to remove an allergy with that.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right. We know the emotion code to know how that condition
I was going to say, you'll associate, yes, that you can become, like an ideology. You can start saying, okay, I don't like the strawberries because it reminds me of that day when I was lost. But you still have that fear now, or you're...
A lot less because of the emotion code. So because I do the emotion code, I remove layers and layers and layers. And now I'm at a point where I'm excited to learn how to use my navigator. And I said to my daughter is 15, 16 years old. She just turned 16. She's my technology savvy person. Okay. So she helps me figure out where my navigator is on the car and how to plug it in, and how to see it so that you can turn, and it tells me how many miles. So I'm set now somewhat. But I told her yesterday, I said, let's do a few practice runs, like mix me up in San Diego somewhere. Tell me we're going to go here today and let me plug it in. And now keep in mind, I was fearful to even try that. Now, removing some of the emotions that I had, I'm at a good place right now. I'm actually wanting to learn how to use it so that to get out of it. I want to get out of this fear mode. Before I was just in fear mode. I froze, and it's like, nope, you can't tell me to come visit you because I don't know how to get to you. If you live out of my neighborhood, there's no way I'm coming.
It's quite limiting. It's quite limiting.
And so now I'm just having a fun challenge. I enjoy the challenge.
Anna was just driving, flying. That's no problem. You just sit on a plane and you just let the pilot, or was it just literally just you when you're driving, nothing else?
Yes, I don't. Yeah, exactly. I love flying. I don't mind that at all. It's just me getting lost in my own control. If I don't have control of how to get somewhere, it makes me very jittery. So,
okay. Yeah. And have you ever traced it from anywhere? Have you ever found out where it comes from?
I did. The emotion code took me back to abandonment. There was something that I was abandoned, and what I don't understand is, how is it that abandonment showed up in my later years? And yet like I said, when I was 16, I got into a car and drove in the most unusual boondoggles in the United States, like dark villages in Detroit, Michigan, at night in the dark with strangers in a weird place. And it didn't bother me.
Probably, well, that when we're little, even when we start walking, we fall, we get up, we try again, we keep trying and trying. So it's probably similar. Like when you were a child, we just keep going, and we just don't really have that fear. And then as we get older, we change, or we see something, and then we put that fear in. And then as you get older, and then other things comes up, and then other things comes up, and then you pile it up, and then suddenly it's like, okay, well, what would happen if I get lost? Or maybe it reminds you of something, like you said, fear of abandonment. That could be one of those. But I was just wondering if you did get lost somewhere, and if you did have a memory and that needed to be deleted, or there must be something that created this in the first place, or maybe even how you were born. I don't know if maybe you, I don't know if you're...
Well, yeah, actually, now that you mentioned that, you did help me ring a bell. So my mom told me that I was a really true blue scaredy cat. Like whenever first of all, let's start. I was born in Israel, and we moved when I was 2 years old to Canada. So my mom knew absolutely nobody. We had absolutely no friends. I was only 2, 3 years old.
That makes sense.
Yes. And if a stranger rang the bell, I would just grab my mother's apron and I would just hide behind her back, she told me, So I guess I did start out with that fear-based already. I think that's probably where it originated. But again, it went away when I was 15, 16 years old. I was scared of nothing. I remember wanting to sit in the front row of the steepest roller coaster in the world. It was at Cedar Point. And they told me, you realize you're in the front seat of the steepest row. And I said, oh, that's great. I can't wait. When's it leave? So down I went. Now you asked me to go on a roller coaster with my kids? No way. It's like, I'm sitting at the far back, strapped in with everyone patting around me. And that's how I go on a roller coaster now. So yeah.
But it does make sense, that the fear of being lost, because when you move countries and you don't know anyone and you haven't got anything to look at that you actually recognize, that can create underlying fear of loss or fear of abandonment in certain ways, because if you leave everything behind and things like that. So that can be, but yeah, I mean, I think also the age, when you said age 14 or 15, you probably wanted to experience things, so you just didn't let that fear kick in anyway. And
Yeah.
as you get older, and probably as you become a mother, also things start
Yes. Because
changing.
now they lean on you. They need me. It's like if something happened to me, it's not just me. It's all these people that are going to miss me. Like, before it was just me missing me. If something happened, like my mom would
Yes.
miss me, I'm sure, but yeah.
But
I
yeah,
get
so you have responsibilities. You start thinking more like an adult, and you also start thinking they need me. And it's probably maybe that's also the pattern they changed and started kicking in. But originally, I would say I would even go back into early years of life and the movement and you moved quite a bit, so the map, the roads, and you also said you didn't like speaking to strangers. Now, when you said if you get lost, you don't like speaking to strangers, but you just said that when you were 2 year old and somebody will ring the bell and it was a stranger, you will just hide behind your mum. So there's a
Yes,
lot of
yes.
memories. There's a lot of
Yeah.
memories in there that create that fear. So it does make sense. So the subconscious mind has created something that does make sense in that way, and like you and I, we know the emotion code, we know the body code, and we use that to clear emotion trapped in a body, and some emotions get stuck longer because there's
Mhm.
more layers to take off.
Yeah.
And that's how did you get into the emotion code?
Well, I had a major stomach surgery when my first son he was born the smallest out of all three, but he was very strong in there and he punched and kicked. So he tore the muscle wall. And after I had all my three kids and got sewn back properly, the person that came over to do healing on me, he did mud packing, which was physical, like you mud pack certain scar tissues and that. But then he always ended the session with an emotion code. He would give me this chart and he'd say, okay, let's see what emotions are affecting you with that surgery. And I looked and it was the most unbelievable thing. And he'd always end the session like that. I said, I really can connect to this. I love what you're doing. I enjoyed that more than the mud packing and mud packing me down. So anyway, he sent me away for a weekend to go with a lady nurse. Get this, a nurse flew down from where Bradley Nelson's practitioners were. He flew her down and she came for a weekend in one of the hotels here with a whole bunch of practitioners and nurses in that room. And I just loved it. She told, what she told everybody? She said, if she knew this modality years ago before she became a nurse, all the people in her hospital would have been gone a lot faster. Like they would have, in other words, they would have been healed in her ward. 2/3 would have been healed a lot quicker because she
It
gets to the root of why they're there.
was
And a lot of them
Dr.
were
Nelson
there
there too or not?
I'm sorry, what?
Was Dr. Nelson there too, or just she's
No, it was just a nurse. Yeah, Ruth Kent. They sent her down. Unbelievable. I so enjoyed it. And then I had to just figure out how to tap into the subconscious. So muscle work did not work for me. Like kinesthesiology, when you tell them, here, let me test your arm, that didn't work. The only thing I work with now is the pendulum. And that worked like beautifully for me. I mean, now I know how to tap in. And I realized using the pendulum was a bonus because when people are in intensive care units in a hospital, they don't have to lift their arm because they're in a coma, right? I could just read their subconscious, even on their ankle while they're under the blanket snoring. I just do my work over here. So I got a lady out of intensive care unit after I had to wear the glove and the mask and the robe and go in there and work on her for 2 hours. She was out in 3 days, out completely, like out of intensive care that next day, then out of the hospital, and then at my door with a big bag of lemons saying, thank you, you saved my life, because the doctors used me as her last resort. So, but it worked.
very often it's we, as you know and I know, very often we see people as the last resorts because they've tried everything else before. But
Yeah.
I love the emotion code and body code even more. But definitely it's fascinating. It is how you can release emotion so quickly, and you don't even need a person to be in the room with you because it's just
Yes.
energy work. And I don't use a pendulum. I just use muscle testing. But I mean, I do have a pendulum too. But yeah, but now everything is online. So basically, you can really do everything. Just you can tune into somebody's energy,
Yes.
and that makes a big difference. But so you start. So okay, so you went on that course, and then you started using it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
How many years ago was that?
This was about 7 years ago. I've been doing the emotion code, and it's been getting better and better because now, based on COVID, I stopped getting my clients coming into the house. So I had to force myself to learn the Zoom and how to treat them. And I had to force myself also to believe in myself, to be able to remove emotions and trust that it's working in London, England, and working in Brazil, and working in Australia, because I didn't trust myself. So I wasn't even charging people. I said, you know what? I know what you want from me. I don't think it's going to work totally as well as if you were here in person, but let me try. I did 3 different families, and all of them said, oh my, what a difference they felt the next day, and all kinds of stuff, like even bringing abundance back to this one man who was losing his business. I brought the abundance up. He literally got a better job and more money. And I mean, the wife called me. She said, this is unbelievable. She said, and she was a healer too, by the way. She said, you have to trust yourself.
Even when you're a healer, you always need somebody else to work on you, because when you're in it, you don't really see it. You need to always have somebody else doing the work on you. But
right.
It does amazing. I mean, I love it. I also got introduced to it, and I'm so glad. I really wanted to be an emotion code practitioner and body code certified. I really wanted, because I really love doing it. I love using it. And yes, you're right. You don't need to be in the person. I mean, I also used to do face to face. You don't need to be face to face. You can use it online. Certain things maybe you may do a little bit different, but it's just it just works as much as well as being face to face. And I think it probably even work better in certain ways. So
well,
yeah.
You know what I learned is the power of energy, that we really and truly are all one and connected. And that's proof. Being able to use me as a surrogate and say, I am Brian, and go like this with my magnet saying, on behalf of Brian, I'm removing anxiety. And Brian across the world feels this. Wow, if that's not powerful, So I started to do it enough to wait to see if it works. And when you get testimonials and people calling you back going, yeah, they felt better. Next day they slept like a baby. I'm like, okay, I guess it works.
That's what I was going to do.
And the best part of all this is it gets to the root. The best part of the emotion and body code is how this work is the root. It's like I said,
that's
they
the
used
idea.
it as their
That's
last
what we need
resort.
to do. That is what we want to do. We want to get to the root of the problem, because when you get to the root of the problem, the healing happen. And that is the whole idea of it, is putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and then you get the whole picture. And once you have the whole picture, the healing happen. And what I find is the healing happen even faster.
Yes.
Out of all the energy modality that I know and I use, I find the healing happen even faster, because once your mind and your body understand why this happened in the first place, and you release it, then after a few days, or sometimes even straight away, people feel, especially with pain, and you worked with pain and I worked with pain, and you can reduce the intensity of pain within a session. And
exactly. Well, that's what I tell people. It's non-invasive and permanent and quick, non-invasive, permanent. They don't need to relive their story. They don't need to tell me what happened. If they want to, they could. I'm not going to turn them down. But if we're going to do a quick hour session here, I don't need to hear the whole drama. And why relive something? Because then it'll just add more anxiety to the thought of repeating it. So let's just, if the subconscious tells me it's there, boom, let's just get it out. Let's just move it along layer by layer, peel it off, and get all those anxiety moments out. So
that's the nice way of doing, is that you don't even need, and we both don't need to listen to everybody's story. They don't need to go back in the past in that way. You can do it so nicely by just finding out, using the emotion chart, finding out the emotion, releasing the emotion, and then just move on to the next emotion. And because you're a human being, we're bound to have more emotions anyway. So it's one of those things, and that is what make us. We have emotions, and that's what made us a human being. And like you said, it's energy, and we are all connected by energy. Even look, I mean, we're in 2 different countries and we still can talk, and we're not next to each other. The technology, that in itself is energy that we didn't even think could happen. I'm sure like great grandparents will have thought, okay, well, if you're not in the same country, you're not even connected with a wire, and you can speak and see each other, they'll say no way. And emotion code and body code is exactly the same. It's so different, but exactly what you said, fast, efficient, and you get to the root of the problem, and you can just move on, and it transforms people's life. That is what it is. And so you decided to become emotion practitioner? Is that so? Is that what you do
Yes,
now?
I did. I mean, I could do the body code with my eyes closed. Like I practically memorized the whole left side, right side, all the alignments, everything. But I just didn't get around to doing the
That's fine.
whole.
But you like doing the emotion code. You like
I
doing.
love the emotion code. There's nothing like it. You know, it's 85% of the route. It's 85. That's more than the body code. So I always have to start with the emotions, then 15% left, I'd go into the body code. And it's usually a supplement that they're missing or a mineral they're missing or a misalignment. I would send them to a chiropractor after I move the emotion stuck with the two joints, because they can go to a chiropractor forever with the same adjustment. And the chiropractor will send them right back again to me, because if the emotion's not out of there, they're going to go back for the same adjustment.
Exactly.
So they understand that now. I said, if you want your adjustment to be effective, come get the emotion out of there.
It's like having a, you have a fall or you cut yourself and physically is repaired, but the emotion attached to the fall also needs to be repaired. Emotionally needs to be the emotion there, the fear, the uncertainty, whatever emotion is stuck in there, we need to remove it too. And especially now, and I'm sure you find that more and more people with COVID are having more difficulty dealing with their fear, their anxiety, they're feeling overwhelmed. I'm not sure how it is in San Diego, but here in London, no one is allowed to go out.
Around the world, this is a global pandemic. Yeah, so everybody's feeling it, and I get a lot of people with fear that already started with fear. But right now with the COVID, it's more depression and stress, because as you know, they're losing their houses, their jobs, their everything, and then they're stuck at home. You get these elderly. So I started a spirit senior group to try and do Zoom programs for the elderly. And I went on my app here, it's called Nextdoor, and I had a whole bunch of people sign up that wanted to help the elderly get out of depression by doing Zoom activities for them while they're sitting alone. It was, so it was, and then I had pen pals. Like I said, who wants to sign up as pen pals? We'll start writing to them, calling them, if they have phones. But that's a killer. My mom right now is in Canada. I've not seen her for a whole year. And that's depression big time. I mean, she says the house is so quiet, it feels like an echo in here, and that had killed them before COVID, just anxiety and depression and stress.
Because a human being, part of being a human being is to being with other human being and to be with your family and to celebrate with your family. And so she's on her own. You have no siblings there.
Well, luckily my brother's there, but he comes there, once, twice a week. He does call her when he can, but between my daughter and myself, we speak to her about 3 times a day. We know what she's ate for breakfast. Dinner time, we covered all sides, but it's very hard. And then if it's going to start snowing soon, then she's snowed in. So there's not even that walk to the mall that she used to like. And she does her laps around the mall. And, it's just too bad. It's just really,
it's having, I think every single person in the world has to adjust. It's all about adjusting at the moment and just waiting. It's like a waiting time. You just have to wait until.
Yeah. The worst part is the unknown. You could be waiting and you don't know how long you're waiting and what's the end. Where does this going to go? Like they keep the borders closed from going from Canada to United States. They were supposed to open it in August. Then it got delayed to September. And it just keeps going and going and going. My daughter was supposed to get her driver's license and they delayed it 2 more times. Can you imagine a 16-year-old just about to get her license? She went through the school. She's a A++ driver in my opinion. And now they said, no, you can't take the test. And in fact, you can't not only take it now, we're going to postpone it another month. So she waits another month. And then they cancel it again two times. So
I have the same here. It's like, it's cancelled. The lessons are cancelled. The tests are cancelled. You just have to wait. But like you said, it's the fear of the unknown, but also is when you get some hope and you've been giving, saying, okay, there's going to be better, or you can do this or do that. And then suddenly it says, actually, no, you can't, you're completely in lockdown. That makes it worse. Then if you know that that maybe, okay, let's give it let's say another 6 months or another year, then you know that there's going to be an end to it. There will be an end to it at some point. But it's the waiting time. And at the moment, we're just in it and we just have to wait. But I'm in London and we are in a lockdown. So
I heard on the news, you guys have got it. You're getting hit big, unfortunately. So
we're in lockdown. We can only go out for shopping and essential shop, and that's it really. Everything is shut. And also the borders are closed. But it needed to be done because we need to get
Yeah,
rid of
we
this
know what we're
virus.
bringing into our countries, of course.
Yeah.
Yes,
And that's and yes, the whole world is different, and everything's changed. You know, you we're so used to see someone and hug them or kiss them, and then lies like
yeah,
no one, you don't see anyone, everybody stays in their own houses and everybody's isolated. And luckily we have the internet, and luckily we can actually connect with people like
yeah, yeah.
this. But it's exactly what
Because
you say, it's when you live on your own, that is when those things that you decided to do are amazing, because it's not easy when you're busy and you still got things to do in the house, and you can still do some work, and you can still, when you
right,
have a, I find I get a lot of people who they don't have the routine. Either
right.
students who finish studying and they have the degree but they have no job and they have no routine, so they stay in bed, they don't know what to do, they really, and it's actually putting a routine in place, like having to get up, make your own
Yes,
timetable, put things in place, volunteer, do things. But
right.
that is something they didn't expect. People expected that, you know, you have your degree, you go out, you find a job, and you start learning and working, and the whole thing's changed. So but that is the and that definitely also the emotion code will help, because building confidence, building the trust that you can still get out of this. And I find especially nice overwhelm, the feeling, the emotion that is stuck in people, I think, I don't know if you find that, is overwhelmed,
Oh
stress,
yeah. Oh.
overwhelm, anxiety,
Well,
nervous,
the bills are piling up,
worry.
right? The bills are piling up, and people don't know how to pay them. So that right there is overwhelmed when they just shut their restaurant or they just shut their hair salon
Yeah.
or whatever, And yeah, they're
And
feeling.
confusion also, people have also confusion because they don't know what's going to happen next, and they thought it was going to be better, and now it's not. And so
Yeah.
but Anna, where can people see you or get in touch with you if they want to experience a session with you?
Well, I have a website. I must tell you, I do several things. I actually tap into negative past lives as well, which I found a lot of people that came to me that are depressed, and they say to me, I don't understand why I'm depressed. I'm actually doing pretty good, even with the COVID. Why do I feel depressed still? I find that they picked it up, cell membranes, from a negative past life, or it could be an old inheritance, meaning one of their parents.
Yeah,
I wanted
definitely.
to give a very, very fast story if I have a second here.
Okay.
I had a lady that came to me, and she was an older woman, like not older, she was in her 40s, 50s, something like that. And she said, I'm really, really terrified of flying. And my job is to fly. They are sending me around to different companies. I need to go do presentations, and I fear an airplane. And so I tapped into her. You won't believe this story. We find out that she's adopted. And she was picking up the fear of flying from her mother. Her mother was ready to adopt her, going from Russia to the United States to drop her off. Can you imagine the thoughts that she had going on in her head? Confusion. Am I making the right choice? Where's my daughter going to go? Is it the right family? What's going to happen to her? So she picked all that up on her 3rd month of pregnancy. I was even able to determine which trimester it was. It was the last trimester. And this poor woman, when we removed that, she went back to work. She's now flying around the world happily saying, I can't believe that was all my mom's stuff I was picking up. Mind you, she never knew her mother still, but she now knows that her mother was loving her, just worried about that move that she had to make. So anyway,
that shows how it does shows how emotion has such an impact on us, and we do carry inherited, and yes, and it is so important to remove it so that you can actually be the best. But Anna, yes, thank you very much for coming today on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Did you mention the website? Just I'm not sure.
It's natural healthy with a Y haven haven.com, naturalhealthyhaven.com. And you'll see on the top they'll have the emotion code, how I describe it, how I do it, and what I can do with it. And then you'll see 5 shows. Just click on whichever show you want. We've had, the first show was amazing. It talked about the emotion code in a PowerPoint presentation. And then it talked about EMFs. A lot of people right now are going to get affected by 5G, Wi-Fi's. They're more on computers. So they need to be more careful now, because if they're not going if they're not going out to work, they're going to be on a computer more.
Moving enough.
And so my kids have their computer grounded with chips on the bottom of them. And that's really important. And your cell phones need to have a chip on them. So you could find all those products under products, and you'll see what kind of things. If you're stuck sleeping, there's a baby Z bean bag you can stick right under your pillow. You'll sleep like a baby, So, and I offer free 15-minute sessions as well. So if anybody wants, now that I could do it remotely, I will offer free 15 minutes, and then I type the report, and I'll email you your report to let you know all the things that came up. And if you want to do future work, all the things that can be worked on that showed up in your subconscious.
Thank you very much, Anna. Looking forward to seeing the show in February. And thank you very much for listening. And this is Lauren Rosenberg, a Fear Buster. Looking forward to talking about different fear next week. Bye.